Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town. October 1st, man, just like that.
I know, it's crazy, dude.
One of the questions that the Freeman family had was, does Abby Gould, Sister Gould, have any access to conference attendance as a missionary in the West Salt Lake mission?
She was at conference this morning.
Oh, so she was able to attend in person.
Yeah.
She's got the freaking cover of the Liahona magazine probably then nailed, right?
Yeah.
Temple Square, couple sister missionaries. Beautiful
I think it
sunny
was
day, knock it out.
I think it was Brian Bunker who had, as a missionary, he and his companion had written a song called Ensign Girl. As missionaries flipping through the Ensign, the conference edition.
I should not think that's that funny, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, that resonated with every returned missionary that's ever.
Ensign Girl.
Yep.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, so I thought at one point Quinn and Sydney were going to go up to conference, even though they didn't have tickets, to see if they could run into Abby, but apparently that didn't happen. I don't think that happened. I didn't hear anything from them.
Well, Grace will be doing Grace is doing Sunday afternoon session.
She has tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad. Like, I was thinking as I was watching conference, I was thinking, man, it's too bad you can't get out there every year. Like, it's just,
I've never been to a live session.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I give them out like candy this time of year. Everyone hits me up, and so we have stake access to them, and that's what Grace is doing. Cooper Wilson's taking some kid. Grace got 6 tickets. So
from her stake,
from my stake.
Oh, really?
Like from our stake stash, I get some frequent people hitting me up. And
how many do you get every year to get?
I don't even know. It's just like a bottomless well.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Our stake is they're always send out a message, limited number.
I think our stake is doing a really good job of like driving that thing in the ground. No one even knows they're available.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody should go. It's, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and in my opinion, there's like a blessing and a curse of accessibility to things, and there's something about going to a Saturday evening session of conference, sitting in the chapel with everyone that you know and love, dressed in their church best. Something about that changes the feeling. There's opportunities there that I think are different. And then sometimes the access becomes, I'll just watch it in my, on my couch in my PJs. And then, maybe I'll just lay in bed and watch it. And then maybe I'll just take a nap through it and get it through osmosis. And then maybe there's a week off from church, and you kind of have that progression, and it's kind of, it's unfortunate, but is what it is. I think that's that way with a lot of things, right? Everything becomes so easy that we take advantage. We take it, we lose the meaning behind some things because it's just so easy.
Well, I think part of it too is, we just, we don't get the same rush a lot of the times the same thing. And I think it's the same way when people talk about like, oh, I fell out of love with somebody, like it's definitely not the same feeling that you had the first time you went on a date with that person, or first time you held hands or kiss or whatever it is. It's a different kind of feeling. And so if you're just expecting that same first feeling the whole time, I think it's the same thing with conference. If you're expecting, conference to be the same as the first time that you were like, whoa, like I remember the time where I was sitting in the MTC and, I had grown up watching conference, and the first time it really meant something to me was like a mind blowing experience. Right. And so if I'm expecting that every time that conference comes, every 6 months, if I'm expecting that same like new, really dopamine rich feeling that I had, then I lose some of the other things that it can be, the comfort, the just the consistency, the refocusing. I can kind of lose out on that aspect of it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, I think that there's, throughout my life, I mean, I grew up, conference was a day off. Yeah. We didn't go to church. I didn't watch conference as a kid, and I didn't go to state conference. State conference was a day off. You didn't, that's how it worked in my house. It was a day off, and then, obviously that's changed as I've got my own family and all that. But you look through, I definitely look through. To me, conference is like reading the scriptures. It's like I buy a new set of scriptures every couple of years just to reread and remark through the lens that I'm in currently. Right.
Yeah, that's smart.
How my scriptures looked as a missionary are totally different than how they look today. I read verses differently. I look at things differently. Conference, I feel the same way, right? As a missionary, I'm sitting in that chapel in Zanesville, Ohio, watching conference, and I'm thinking, this is perfect for my, investigators or friends or less actives or my family at home. And now the lens is different, right? I look at that differently. Not to say that, obviously the missionary work thing still hits, especially now in my current calling, but
also probably with your kids too. Now you've come full circle where you're not looking for the advice for you necessarily, but what advice can I share to my young missionary and all that. So yeah, that's kind of a full circle moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of interesting.
I just love that Tyler said the word lens, because honestly, when I think of Richest Men in Town, and I think of George Bailey, and I think of the lessons that we learn from that, and the lessons that we learn from our guests, is this idea of lenses, right? Like what do you see in life through, and how do you see old things in new ways? How do you see the familiar, and the familiar becomes alive in a different way, right? Like, how do you take the marriage of 25 years, and what lenses can you put on to see spark, right? To see passion? How do you take a job that maybe you're comfortable in and feels like a career and you're established, and like, how do you put on a different set of lenses and show up with a little pep in your step, right? I mean, I think that's the challenge in life, but I mean, I think it's worth trying to figure out, right? I think of that lengthen your stride that we talked about last time. I mean, that's the idea, right? State conference, because honestly, state conference, general conference, depending on how you're looking at these opportunities, they could be days off, right? Definitely days off from the razor, right? Definitely. And it's church and PJs, but man, it can still be epic, or it can be like choirs on, let's bounce to the NFL, right? I mean, it can be whatever we're making it, but I mean, I think it's I think the key is those glasses. What are we putting on a daily basis that's going to help us want to live again, right? It's going to help us want to love again. It's going to want to help us reach out. How are we cool? Like one of the things that, man, yesterday was so cool, right? The theme I got, everything's going to be okay. Several conference speakers talking about everything's going to be okay. And this idea of once my needs are taken care of, the Lord turns my heart to other people. So how can I get my needs taken care of so I can be aware of other people? Dang it.
I think, and Brian, you work for an eye doctor, don't you?
I do. Yeah. My daughter actually asked when President Ballard was speaking today, my daughter asked, because he started his talk by saying he had to go to the eye doctor.
Dad, can you fix him?
Because he can't read the teleprompter anymore.
Yeah.
And my daughter turns and goes, "Did he come to your office?" And I said, no.
I feel like, and maybe I'm just thinking of like some kind of weird like sci-fi movie or something, but isn't there a tool where like they put different lenses in front of the others so you can kind of judge how you see? Is that something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The 4-opter, the big black one. You know, that's the first piece of equipment you think of when you go into the eye doctor, right?
This one or this one?
Or two?
Yes.
Two or three.
I kind of feel like there has to come a point, like you talk about lenses and multiple lenses, and you know, we have different things. Like I look at things differently depending on what situations that I'm in, right? But I have this permanent lens, okay? And this lens is how I filter everything. And it happens to be through the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? That's how I filter everything. I put other lenses in front of it, right? Like I love the NFL, I love sports, I love, you know, all these other things, but this is my overarching lens. So I think that like when we talk about like, well, how do we make meaning out of sitting in our PJs watching conference or during a pandemic having sacrament meeting, right? Like, how do we make meaning out of that versus going somewhere? I think it's what our main focus is in life that allows us to kind of sit up straight, jump in the shower before conference or whatever it is, right? And whatever, and sit and watch, right? As opposed to, it's just something. It's like, if I have time, I'll watch it. Maybe not. Right.
Well, so, I'm really glad that this isn't live streamed because I did not jump in the shower before.
You chose the one day where we're actually going to show the video, dude. That's
great. Actually, but you guys just want to do a screenshot and make this the picture for this episode? That'd be great.
Yeah.
But Emily Bell Freeman even talked about that, right? In her conference address, she said the answer to those questions depends on what kind of relationship do you want to live? What kind of relationship do you want to have? What do you want?
Yeah.
Right? Do I have to do these things? Do I have to do those things? Well, guess what? Somebody is not asking those questions because they're striving to live a deeper committed relationship with the Savior. Right? So these things that we're tripping up on, maybe we're tripping up on them because it's like we're just not interested in a committed, covenanted relationship.
Well,
that's the drive. Those questions go away.
Yeah, what I think is hard for a lot of people is they think, well, if I am going to look through life in this lens, that means I have to throw other lenses out. I have to throw the NFL lens away.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case, but you have to know where it fits. You have to know when it's okay to put things on. I remember having this conversation a lot with youth that I would be around. And, you know, we'd talk about, you know, sometimes it's a struggle to find time to study your scriptures. But, you know, we always seem to find time to get really good at Super Smash Brothers. We find time to get good at, you know, all these different things. We fill our time with all sorts of different things. And so I'm not saying you have to stop. I'm not saying to get away, get out, get rid of your Xbox, your Switch, whatever it is. I'm just saying that time, just have a trigger in your head where you go, okay, before I turn it on, I'm going to go to the scriptures first. You like marry those two things together, like put those two things together. So you're not giving up everything else and just studying scriptures from the time you get home from school to the time you go to bed.
Which is unhealthy in my opinion, by the way. Right.
Yeah,
because there's balance, right?
And to Tyler's analogy with that, what is that machine called? That the
4-opter.
The 4-opter, man.
I thought it was something about Harry Potter, man. So I was just like, I wasn't sure if I was making something up. But yeah.
When you do drop something in front of that lens that's also including the gospel of Jesus Christ, if it clouds it, it's got to go.
Point.
right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like if there's some things in there that get in the way, like I love the comment in today's session about it wasn't the gold that was the problem. The gold turned into idolatry.
Yeah.
Right. So like those we have these things in our lives. It's when those things detract, when those things cloud our vision of what's important, that's when we've got to make those choices, right? That's when we got to cut. We got to say, who are we around, right? Are those people around us to buoy us up? Are those, and that's interesting. I would love to get your guys' opinion. I got this situation, like I'm getting better at adapting my expectations of people, right? So that I don't need them to be perfect parents or perfect family members or perfect friends in order for me to love them. The question would be, do I need to get something from them in order for them to be in my life?
Like, what
For
do you mean?
example, struggling with situation, and I'm like, well, you know what? That person's made some mistakes, but like I don't need to write them off. I'm good, right? But when I'm with that person, or when I'm with that relationship doesn't edify. And
Mike,
if that
I would
doesn't,
go back to your talking about the lens, and does it cloud my lens? And I'll give you an example. Like, there's a person that I know and love, and just a fun guy to be around. Like, I love hanging out with them. And then, recently in the past couple of years, we've had some conversations that clouded my lens, man. And I remember I came home and I was talking to Ricky, and I'd been hanging out, and I was like, man, I really love this guy. Like, he is freaking amazing, but I can't hang out with him anymore, man, because the conversations are putting me in a spot that, and it's hard for me to explain, but it was just like,
oh no,
almost
cloud my lens does it.
Right. It was like chipping away at, like, or at least an attempt to chip away at some of the things that I hold near and dear. And it's crazy because, like, I love that dude, like, good dude, fun. But those conversations, I just couldn't be a part of. And so I told Ricky, I'm like, love him, can't hang out with him.
I think the hard part about it is
that's the answer I needed, Tyler Gould. Thank you.
I think the hard part is, like, you never know, because do you still interact with that person in any capacity in your life?
Sure, absolutely.
Like, hang out, right? Love them. Can't
be
hang
at different
out with
places. Them. We go to. Sometimes we're in the same groups of people. I'm always give them a hug, love them, right?
Yeah.
I'm there, but
so I think that's the hard part, is when people feel like, oh man, I need to sever this relationship. That can be a hard and heavy thing. I think the thing that is really hard for us to do sometimes is to set a boundary and to set a need, and to be able to, in the scriptures, it talks about, if you've been wronged by a brother, and that's not even necessarily the thing, but you go to them directly, you go to them between he and thee, and you have this discussion, and being able to state, like, hey, like, I value our friendship. I'm nervous to have this conversation, but some of the things, this specific conversation that I had, I went away from it feeling this way. I felt like diminished in a way. Is it all right if we just kind of steer clear of that topic? And being able to state needs to people is kind of almost even a natural, like, attractor or detractor. When we're able to just state where we're at and what we're desiring, and we broadcast that, not in a look at me, or not in a, well, if you, like, kind of a power trip to say, well, if you don't do this, then I can't hang out with you. Because we see that a lot too. We see people going, oh, well, you're not a member of my church, so I can't be friends with you. Sorry. But if we're able to do it in a way, just saying, hey, like, that conversation got away from us, I didn't feel great afterwards. Is it okay if we steer clear from that kind of topic, that conversation?
Because the bottom line is, if you didn't, they didn't either. Or maybe it's a past feeling kind of thing, but that in a way is helping your brother, right? It's helping your friend. So love you, But I love what Brian was saying. That's a very mature conversation. Can we set boundaries? Can we have the conversation like, hey, look, I don't want to, because you're right. We're not severing the relationship. We're changing the terms.
And I think there's a flip side of that.
Can't hang out with them.
Yeah, because there's a flip side of that too. I think there's people that will say that would say, well, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, and I don't like it. It will be too hard on this person and probably on me if I change the nature of this relationship. So I'm going to continue with this relationship and just try to put up my own personal silent borders of how that should work. And that doesn't work, right? That doesn't work. And so, how many times did you sit at your desk as a bishop and have someone come in and say, this is this new path that I'm going down, and it's not a good path. And it always is connected to someone or something, right, that was introduced to them. And so there was never a boundary put up. And sometimes that boundary was just in their head, like, hey, I can still have this, and we can still continue to have this normal interaction like we've always had. And what they say doesn't bother me, but it does, right? It does.
Yeah. The bottom line is, this is a quote we heard a couple of times over this weekend. In coming days, it will not be possible to survive spiritually without the guiding, directing, comforting, and constant influence of the Holy Ghost. My beloved brothers and sisters, I plead with you to increase your spiritual capacity to receive revelation. If we're hanging out with people that are taking drill bits to our buckets, we've got to distance ourselves, 100%.
Right? And like this guy that I've mentioned, I have lunch with him every once in a while. We'll meet up for lunch in the afternoon. We have lunch and catch up, and just love the dude. But it's like, I can't have that person I know is wielding a pickaxe trying to chip at my foundation. I just can't have it. Love him. He gives me great fantasy football advice. Like, honestly,
I can try to help out with that too.
Okay.
I made some moves. I'm not sure if those are going to play out today, but we shall see.
Oh, speaking of two lenses, though, I will say that I'm watching conference today, and I'm like, man, this is so good. Like, I can't remember what talk it was, but I had this feeling like, golly, I love conference. Like, I was literally having that feeling like, I wish this was every day. And then right at that moment, my phone dinged, and I looked down, and Kirk Cousins had thrown for a touchdown. And I was like, yes, you see, like, two lenses were existing. Good things, man.
Because welcome to the beautiful month of October, right? Where you got Ryder Cup golf, you got NFL, you got General Conference, you got baseball postseason, basketball's in the wings.
Best time of year, man.
Love these shoulder months. Love them.
Dude, I'm just happy that it's not 100 degrees anymore. I'm happy I can go outside and not be dying.
You know what?
Seriously.
I got a little something in the pantry that maybe I shouldn't have purchased, but I don't know how you guys feel about the whole pumpkin spice revolution of like all things, but I've got pumpkin spice Oreos.
Really?
That are unbelievable.
Wow.
We got pumpkin spice muffins from Costco, and as the kids say, they slap, man.
Ricky makes pumpkin chocolate pumpkin muffins that I love. I'm not a pumpkin spice guy, but maybe I could be converted. I don't know.
It doesn't have to infiltrate everything, but it has its place.
Yeah.
It's trying to infiltrate everything, right? It's coming at you with that pickaxe, and it's trying to get into some things. You just got to set the terms. I'll give you the Oreos. My wife also does a pumpkin chocolate chip bread thing that's like out of this world, and like that's where we'll stop it.
Yeah.
Till Thanksgiving, and then you got a week of like it's all on.
Yeah.
But I will tell you too, I did see eggnog in the store.
I do love me some eggnog. I actually thought about eggnog the other day.
In the store.
It's interesting. I was talking to someone the other day about just gas prices, right? And they were like, I was like, dude, it's like almost $7 a gallon. Like, what is happening? And how are we not talking about this on a regular basis? And he said to me, yeah, but the good news is we have the winter blend coming up. And I'm like,
what is that?
I'm like, what do you got, a barista back there just like brewing up? Come on.
They're making stuff up, right? They're making stuff up. Okay, so we've been at this almost 150 episodes. We're not going to get political, but here's what I will say.
Yeah.
The older I get, The bottom line is I am now that guy yelling at my TV. Right? I am now that guy that can tell the weather from my pain in my right knee. I've got these things that it's like, oh no, we're there.
Oh yeah.
Now,
100%, man.
Now I just need to start talking prescription drugs and coupons, and like it's over.
Yeah.
Right?
Done for.
I'm fighting pickleball because pickleball to me is like that's old guy coming at you. Old guys coming at you with the pickleball.
Get pickleball going.
We saw quite a crowd at the pickleball courts here in Reading yesterday on a family walk, and there are some youngsters in there. It transcends, Mike. So
It does.
I was joking with somebody. I was like, Skechers are the official shoe of pickleball. Why do I even need shoes? I don't think I need to move.
Dude, I want those Skechers that you just slip in and they like snap into place around your foot. That's where I'm at. But I've always been this way, I think.
Brian Grow, we are bringing you back as an accountability measure. Last time we had you on, we talked 40-day fast, and you get boom, double header, back-to-back episodes of Richest Man in Town, because we do not want a day to go by, a week to go by without us closing the loop and letting listeners in on this 40-day fast experience and like putting it on wax like Tyler Gould said we would. Where are we at with the 40-day fast fallout, and what goals are you looking at for the next 40?
Yeah. Oh, for the next 40. Oh, I haven't even thought of that.
For this one. For this
Oh,
one.
this 40.
Okay. Let's put it down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I was thinking about stuff, I was really kind of thinking about I was trying to find the hinge points, right? You guys talk about hinge points all the time. So as I was fasting and considering what things I think could make some impact, I was hoping for small changes that would lead to bigger things that would help me build those habits, so that I'm not, looking for the novelty of something new, but the comfort of something familiar. So, a lot of mine had to do with just a lot of how I'm spending my time. So the first one was the first thing I wanted to do was no cell phone for the first or last 2 hours of each day.
Hold on, we back up. We did talk 4 quadrants, right? We talked about borrowing from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints youth movement, this idea of physical, spiritual, social, intellectual. Those are the kind of components that we're in. All right, go.
Okay, so that one has been really hard, because in the same vein that you get the Kirk Cousins notifications, like my phone, like it's always going off. Somebody's always trying to get my attention.
And there's some dopamine with all of those pings. There's like dopamine there, right?
Every
Kirk
single
Cousins,
one,
man. He'll supply. He gives it to you.
So, I really found it's really tough in the evening before I'm going to bed. It's kind of like kids are in bed, a mindless kind of activity that I can go all sorts of places and get those hits and get all those things. And the interesting juxtaposition is I have less time doing that. And then for my social goal, I want to spend at least the first 30 minutes after the kids go to bed on researching, writing, creating, or editing podcast materials.
Well, I kind of dig if you're going to take something out of that time in your life, putting something back in, that makes a lot of sense.
And here's the hard part that I find that like creative kind of work like that is fickle. You know what I mean? The motivation to like roll up your sleeves and get into it. Like if you're in any kind of and so what I'm gonna have to do for the rest of the time is just figure out what's my kind of transition moment, because it's so easy. The transition is already there from putting the kids in bed to being on the couch or being in the bed or just, sitting down and going back and looking up scores. I play in some college fantasy football leagues too. So that's even more days of checking scores and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm working on right now, is figuring out that transition and what is it that's going to give me that transition into the mindset of we're getting into creative work now. Because to just start cold, to start at the right when I'm beginning, that's a little rough. It's a little hard.
Well, and you might need to be like overtly intentional, because you're also fighting some brain chemistry, right? Like I have one of my goals too is to put the phone on the charger 8 o'clock at night. That'll help me try to get my screen time goal, try to limit those pickups is another metric that I'm looking at. But that end of day, when you've been making decisions and you've been fighting the good fight all day long, by the end of the day, you kind of don't want to fight. Right. So like true. my phone charger's in a different room. And so I think, being intentional about physical space layouts probably going to be a key to success there.
Great. And then just to wrap this up, my physical goal, walk at least 10 miles a week. I nailed that. I'm going to up it because 10 was a little low. I was able to get it pretty good. So I'm going to up that one. And then, my spiritual was, I love the process of writing talks. So for this 40 days, I'm going to write a talk every week. So you know what I'm doing after we hop off here.
I love it, man. That's awesome.
Hey, whether you deliver them or not, right?
Whether I deliver them or not.
Jumping in. Yep.
Just because I love that process. I feel like that process for me has been one of the most rewarding. If I like put it in my head that at some point people are going to hear this, I feel like just something changes in my process that allows me to really dig in.
I wonder if, as a measure of accountability, we could sample some of those talks or titles, even topics.
Sure.
Even.
Oh yeah,
I would love that. I just love to know what you're kind of digging into. That's all. I'm always interested in that. So
our stake bloggers would love to have your content. So even if you do come up with things that aren't necessarily delivered, send it their way.
Okay, you got it.
That's great.
Okay, Tyler, you want me to go?
Either way, yeah.
All right. So here's where I'm at. Similar wavelength of Brian. Like, I love that idea of hinges, right? Hinges move inches and doors swing feet. So if I can identify something that swings bare a little bit in my life, and I can get some on the other end of that, I can get some significant impact. That's what I'm after. So I talked already. Phone charger 8 o'clock, and I'm probably batting 500 right now, honestly, for a weekend. So we got some work there. I'll tell you, Mondays are tough on the screen time because I'm on it for an hour talking to my son. So like there's going to have to be some kind of
you've got a screen time. You've got a screen time number measure. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah, because I do want to try to tie numbers to these just so I can kind of keep score. So Monday through Friday, 45-minute exercise. Kelly's actually talking to me about the benefit of strength, not necessarily cardio. So right now those are a little bit of a combination, but I've got a 2.2 loop that I do, 2.2 miles, and then that hopefully will reveal itself in a lower number on the scale and a number of steps. On the heart, relational, just working 30 minutes daily on richest men in town. So guest work, social media, and that was probably batting 200 right now. So I got some work there. I want to wear out on the spirit side of things, I want to wear out conference messages from our church leaders and Sunday school lessons. So trying to incorporate that into the morning workout to help me with the day. I do need to shift this goal because I had a daily share out. So as I take in, what's it going to look like pushing it out and sharing it? And that daily has been really tough. I think I've got two share outs out of 5. So there's that.
I think on that too, Mike, you could do like a, if you're doing like a daily intake of a talk or whatever it is that you're studying, and you did a weekly share out that was just sort of like this, hey, this is what I've gathered from my, you know what I mean? Like something's always, for me, like I could study something and it hits, but then I study something else and it hits really hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I got to downshift the daily for sure. Right.
I
had a bonus. Okay. We talked, Kelly and I have been talking about what does monthly temple worship look like. And so I can share here that I was hoping to have a monthly appointment for the year of 2024, but I do have October set. So I've got 1 month.
But hey,
there we go.
That's the start, man. I love it.
Good enough. Fourth Sunday is or fourth Saturdays, I should say, down in the temple are ASL days. So if you want to come and visit your guy in in an ASL endowment session.
Oh, that's rad. I love it.
That's very cool.
Come
That's
and visit.
That's incredible service provided.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll do that. What temple is it at? How far of a drive is it?
Feather River. Yeah.
Okay.
Little trip.
Little
We got a
10
spare
hours.
room up here now.
All right, perfect.
The room I'm sitting in.
Beautiful. I love it. So my goals are, let's see. So for intellectual, two books, new or rereads. I've already selected those books. So, and then to take some specific things that I can journal and implement from those two books. So, the two books I'm rereading are The Peace Giver. And then I haven't read this one yet, but Change Through His Grace by Brad Wilcox. So I'm going to read those. And then for pleasure, I'm reading Empire of the Summer Moon just for the heck of it because it looked interesting. So
Nice.
All right, Brian, where's yours, man?
Oh man. Come on now.
Come on now. Join the
I would
club.
have to leave the room, I think.
Okay, it's there though.
Okay. Peace Giver, great pick.
Oh yeah, it's a great book. Physical 5 days a week, 30 minutes each session. I have a goal for weight in there. And I've been hitting that pretty consistently, so we'll see what happens, man. Social, focus on my wife and how to better honor and value her. That's my goal for social. Spiritual, look at the things that I can delete from my life and how I can better align myself with the Savior. That's my spiritual goal. And that's it, man. That's it. So
I'm liking the intentionality with Ricky. That's cool.
yeah, 26 years, man. You know how it goes. You gotta work. It's work, and we love each other, and I think we have a really great relationship. But I always know I could be better. I always know that I'm the weak link in that process, and I can be better. That's what I do know, 100%. So, so I'm hoping to dig some nuggets out of that work.
So boys, that feels good. So at work these days, I'm talking about a framework called the execution triangle. Here's the triangle. Everybody got a triangle in your mind pictured?
Yep.
All right. So you got on one angle, you've got consistency. On the other angle, you've got reliability. And on the third, you have accountability. And where there's those three things present, stuff gets done. And that's what they call the execution triangle. So I appreciate this. I don't know if we've ever really taken it this far. We've talked about improvement measures before, but actually putting it down to the things that we're looking at, the things that we're intentionally trying to attack in our lives, and a window of time, right? We've got 40 days. We got less than 40 days now, but we've got some work to do. And I'm excited, Brian. We're definitely bringing you back on a regular cycle this season, so we'll have an opportunity to check in and see where we're at on the end of our 40 days as well, which would be cool.
Well, a quick idea for maybe a social media post. Maybe we throw something in the town where we talk about other people who maybe want to get in on this.
I love that.
Who want to vocalize, who want to voice their thoughts, their ideas, the things that they're working on. And you can follow our same format of having the 4 different areas of improvement. You can choose one. Like, I think really whatever you want to do, but join us in this thing, and we can have a huge old thread about what everybody's doing.
Yeah, drop them, put them down.
Follow up threads that come with progress reports and all that stuff. I think that might be a really cool thing to get a larger group of people just talking about the things that they're trying for.
I love that idea,
Talking
Brian.
to town. We'll drop the 40-day fast, and again, they can take the format that we're running with, or they can choose one. They can choose 18. Yeah, I mean, that's not a very effective way to do it, but hey,
yeah,
whatever floats
Each his
people's
own,
boats
man.
out there. Yeah,
Brian's walking 10 miles. I can't do that. So, everyone's got their own things they can accomplish.
It's not so much. It's really like, it's not so much.
Well, and hey, I'm curious too, because you talked about walking with the family. So some of that's probably value added where you're spending time.
100%.
Yeah. Right. You're walking the dog with the family or something. It's like those are minutes and miles well spent for sure.
Yeah. It was two of the 2 of the 5 days were evening walks where the family like, and
come on.
What was really interesting. So it was Tuesday night. I got home from work. We knew we had an engagement that night. We had a baptism for a friend of Mike and I's.
Shout out to Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I knew we had that coming up, but I got home from work and I said to my wife, I was like, hey, like, or she told me, she said, kids' homework's done. Everybody's been fed. Like the evening is not going to be burdensome. And I said, hey, let's get outside. Let's go for a walk. So we went and we drove to a park nearby and we started walking around and ran into somebody who we probably needed to have a conversation with, because she like, as soon as we started talking, she just opened up and we were just going through all these different conversations. And so, man, I think that was just because the only reason that ever happened was because this lens that we've put on for these 40 days of me going, okay, I need to get out and I need to be walking places. That led us to an opportunity. And man, I think that's the hard part that I always forget is, man, it's really comfortable in here, but out there, that's where things happen. And so I think when we put on lenses that get us out, we have experiences and opportunities that we never would if we are not putting different lenses on. If the comfort lens is the one we're using most often.
I love that you shared that, Brian, and it just reminded me that, you know, I think in one of my goals I have to journal about it and write some things down, but it just reminded me the importance of writing down the miracles that we see when we do the work, right? Because there's blessings and miracles that happen when we commit ourselves to those kind of things. So I'm going to add that to mine for each of my areas, is to write down what I see and how I feel and those things that happen, because that was a great reminder. So this has been awesome, man. Like to be able to look at it, to kind of close the loop from our last episode where we had this idea, talk about what that actually looks like. We'll regroup here with Brian in a few weeks, but we do have an email thread, you guys. Let's keep the accountability going back and forth, and I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for being back with us, Brian. And let's do this thing, right? Nothing's good until it's done.
That's it. All right, gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.
Night.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.